What's on your hat?
Check on your strong friends. Chris, what does that mean to us?
You know those guys that are just always checking in to see how you're doing? They always got a smile on their face and they're always like happy go lucky. Those are your strong friends. And I can almost guarantee you no one ever does that for them.
And that's why we have a hat made, right? But really, it's for a mental health, physical health, entrepreneurship program. This is actually episode one. Who are you really? Chris, we've both lived different lives, but we've lived the same life. Do you truly feel like you are who you are now?
Now, yes, absolutely. And would you say the same?
I've never been more aligned with who I am in my life ever. I feel like I'm the best version of myself right now, and I feel like we've created a lot of steps and a lot of trials in order to climb over the mountains and go up the new ones. But we want to backtrack and go way back, dude. When did you feel like you kind of actually felt like you were you?
I gotta say, I think that is a continuous evolving like thing in your life where you think you have it figured out, right? You right now feel the most clear about who you are, right? 5 years from now, you're gonna look back and be like, I had no clue who I really was. And that's just because each year you grow and you push the boundaries and the ceilings become floors, like we always talk about. But for me personally, I got to say right now is the most I've ever felt that. But I didn't ever have any sort of feeling until the day I actually quit my job and found my true passion, which is like a small percentage of what we do now these days.
Okay, speaking of that, we're going to dive into that a little bit, but I just feel like I'm 32. You're 30.
Almost, not
Almost,
yet.
yeah,
I'm still in my
29.
20s, man.
29.
Let me hang
Jeez,
on to
young
that.
bird, young buck over here. Brain fart. But I truly feel like when I was 29, I didn't feel like I feel now. Even though I was a lot more educated, you're miles and years ahead of me, dude, when I was 29. And you were part of when I was 29. But I feel like at 32, like I got more boundaries. I got more like, well,
Experience.
experience, but like I got bumper cars on where I know where I'm going,
Yeah.
where I feel like that might not change as much.
Why do you think you have those bumpers now? Like, what allows you to put those up?
Really getting clarity of who I am versus people telling me who I am.
Which is funny because you've always been yourself from my eyes. I mean, I know you truly, so I can tell when you're like, you're just loving the entertainment side of things and you're being the chameleon, which in a sense you do like that. But when that became just your identity and you had to do it and you had to entertain constantly for business and personal, then I saw you get drained, you know?
I've been drained a lot in my life, but I think you're the only person that's probably seen me drained in a way. Like I don't show that very often, right? I'm the chameleon. I'm a whatever I need to be to make whatever happen. But now I actually have boundaries where I get to say no, where I'm like, I don't align with this. It's
Mm-hmm.
and I don't judge someone. I don't get onto them. I don't now communicate with them. I just keep moving.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the goal at 32 is just being a little bit more graceful, I guess is a word. Is graceful a word? I don't know if it's a word.
Graceful? Look it up, people. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm
I'm not a
dyslexic. I can't
dictionary.
talk. I can't read, but here I am.
It's a
But
word now.
yeah, I want to break this down a bit because I feel like what we're doing has a reason, right? All the things we've gone through the pain, the struggle, the trials. At the end of the day, we had each other. But I feel like a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to grow with someone. And so they're constantly trying to reach out and actually heal their mind, heal their pain, heal their past, and prepare themselves for future.
Mm.
So the real reason I feel like we're on, video right now doing this is to help. That's our truest form of what we want to do in our life is helping people identify their purpose and just be around the right people. So whether it's a in-person community or an online community, I think we need to go back to old version of ourselves and walk through the process to becoming who we are today.
Yeah, and I think it's hard sometimes because we grow so much on a yearly basis where sometimes we'll get to December and I'll think back to January and it feels like 10 years ago because of just so many things that we've packed into this like 365 days. So it's cool to see the growth, but it sometimes is hard to think back and remember exactly like the thought process. And usually the most clear moments are the tough times, right? They're not always the best moments. It's when we didn't have the money or we didn't have the space or we didn't have the equipment or the jobs or the clients or the people, like you name it. I mean,
Right.
it's constantly like that. But going back to what you talked about, how most people don't have what we have, when times get tough, we can lean on each other and we know that we won't fall because we can trust each other.
Yeah.
We just had a talk downstairs not too long ago. We're in a growth period ourselves right now, and there's challenges that arise from that. And I just thought back to how grateful I was that we have each other in our relationship. Because without it, I can see how extremely difficult entrepreneurship can be and just life in general when you don't have that person you can lean on.
To tie it together, I can't give up on you. I
Mm-mm.
can give up on myself,
Yeah.
but there's another gear, bro, that will
Yeah.
just kick in for you. And we've luckily built that. So
Yeah.
let's go back a bit. I'm going to ask you, Chris, when it comes to who are you really?
Mhm.
When you were going through the phase where you didn't really know who you were, what was the way that you kind of got to, see that? How did you become your identity? Like, what was the thing that finally just was like, this isn't me?
Yeah, it's that breaking point you're talking about.
So, like, tell me your breaking point.
For me, it happened very vividly clear. I'm sitting in my cubicle 2 years into my job as a structural design engineer, mechanical engineer, whatever. And I'm looking at this calendar that has all of our days off, all of our working days. It's all calculated in these numbers. And I'm thinking, I'm pretty miserable when I walk into work every single day. And so I count up how many days of the year I actually do work and how many days I have off. And so, me as the engineer, I'm running the numbers and I'm seeing that over half of my year, I think it was close to 60 to 65% of my year, I'm unhappy. Or actually, it might have been in the 70s. And so that, piques my other idea. And I go and look down the hallway and I see my boss. And he's got 20 years of experience, a lot more money. He's got his own office, but he's down the hallway. And I'm like, fast forward 20 years, if I'm only down the hallway, am I really where I want to be in life? No. And I'm for damn sure not happy because this situation is not improving. It's only getting worse. And so I had to step back and think, like, for one, I just worked my ass off to get this job. My mom paid a lot of money and supported us to get through college. A lot of hours went into it, a lot of mental stress. And, when you put that much time into something, it's really hard to move on. And I wouldn't use the word give up, I would use the word move on. But that was really my aha
Pivot.
moment. It's pivot, right? We use the word pivot, which is perfect. And I didn't know what I was going to pivot to, but I knew that this was not it. That was vividly clear, like I said. And so that was the moment where I realized that, one, I wasn't living life to the full extent that I wanted to, and two, I didn't have God in my life, unfortunately, at that time, but I knew I was being called for a bigger purpose by something, and I needed to figure that out. And it was funny because as soon as I started that job was when I bought my first camera setup off of you.
Yeah.
And I found a love and a passion for something like I've never had before. And so those two things combined, the unhappiness of where I'm at most often with my days and the true passion that I've just now discovered and this fire burning inside of me, I was like, this is something here. I've got to figure this out. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to dive into it.
So, if you could pick one word, right? Because we'll call this step one,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're step one. You're confused. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what to do. What would be one word? Do you feel like when you were that age that really just was like, damn, this hit me right in the face?
I think for me, like, it's just the word stop.
Okay, explain. Okay, stop.
It's
No, but
just
really,
stop.
like, explain it, because if I'm you back and I'm in a position like you, like, what is the one word? Like, if you really think about when people actually stop, it's a stop sign.
That's what I'm
Or
saying.
like when you look around, there's one thing that usually helps you change.
Yeah.
So what does stop mean?
Stop to me means, well, let me just pan it out here. So, when you get out of high school, you gain a lot of responsibilities. And then when you get out of college, if you do go that path, you get into real life at that point. Some people go straight out after high school, some even before then, depending on their situation. For me, I feel like a lot of people start gaining responsibilities, financial, relationships, jobs, hobbies, and they just start filling their lives and they don't realize that they're doing it. And then they get in this cycle where they have to keep doing whatever they're doing because they've built a life based on something that they're not happy with. And so for me, stop means stop what you're doing, stop in the chaos, and think, am I really where I want to be, or am I on the trajectory of life that I want to live? Because 40 years from now, you really don't want to be looking back and thinking, I wish I did this
The
or
fear,
tried
the fear of
this.
regret, right?
It's fear of regret.
So step one, stop. Just what Chris said. Look in the mirror, look at your surroundings, look at your situation. And a big thing we always talk about is don't take advice from people you wouldn't trade lives with. And when you really get into the space of stopping and going, wait a minute, who's happy? A lot of people assume they're happy, but they don't ask those questions. So, my main advice here is stop what you're doing, like Chris is saying, and then go ask the people that actually feel like they're genuinely happy. And that sometimes can be confusing. But I will say, we started asking that questions to super entrepreneurs, famous people, artists.